Hello everyone. We are starting with percentages, and in this class, basically, we'll talk about the usage of percentage. Where is it important? Why is it important? And why should we learn percentages? I would first of all suggest that it is extremely important for us, especially from CAT perspective. Obviously, though it is useful for other exams as well, Z, NMET, IFT, or all other exams. For everything, it will be important, but it is more important not only because questions from percentages itself would appear in the exam. It is important from one another perspective, that is data interpretation. I hope everyone knows what DI is. So when we talk about logical reasoning and data interpretation, DI is one area in which normally students are not comfortable. So this is one area which is extremely important for DI. To be comfortable at DI, you should know percentages, ratio and proportion, averages, and these are all areas that will be used a lot in DI. Though again, as I said, कि जरूरी नहीं है that there would be questions from percentages itself, but still that's a possibility. I mean, CAT or any other exam would be asking you questions on percentages as well. Understanding the basics is extremely important for us. And when I say understanding the basics, that means that how to calculate a certain percentage of a number, what percentage of a number is the other number, and I mean other rules or formulas, short tricks which can be used in percentages. All those things would be important for us. Though I hope you might say that we already know how to calculate a certain percentage of a number, but when we talk about being comfortable with the topic, it means that it should be on your tips. The moment I say what percentage of X is Y, does it come to your mind that what should be in the numerator, what should be in the denominator, where should be 100? Answer would be 100 Y by X, or 100 X by Y, or Y by 100 X, or Y by X by 100 Y. What would be the right way of doing it? What exactly comes to our mind? That is all that will be important in percentages for us. Okay, everyone. So we'll start now with the basics of it. So I'll start with the most basic thing. That is, if I say 25%, what do you mean by 25%? So normally in our mind, it comes 25% means 1 by 4. But let me tell you, the answer is incorrect. Sometimes people say it is 0.25, that is same as 1 by 4. That too is incorrect. So what is the meaning of 25%? I would say there is no meaning of 25%. 25% ka meaning is there only if it is 25% of something. 25% of 400. It has got a meaning, right? 30% of something, 79% of something. Unless it is of something, it has got no meaning. This is what percentage is. Unless you write it is as a percentage of something, it has got no meaning. Though you can say 25% of 400 is same as 1 by 4 of 400. That's correct. So 25% ki jagah I have replaced 1 by 4, but it is not necessary that you can say 25% is equal to 1 by 4. It is just that you can replace 25% by 1 by 4 when you are calculating 25% of something. The point is, what is percentage and why is it needed? I am taking an example. Let us say there is a person who has scored 550 marks in his 12th exams out of 600. There's another person who has scored 650 marks in his 12th exams out of 700. And then there's another guy who has scored 800 out of 950 in his 12th exams. I want to assess their performances. I wanted to know that who has performed better than the others. So if they only tell me their scores rather than the maximum marks, one of them says that I have scored 550, other one says I have scored 650, one says 800. I would not be able to decide it. I'll ask them, okay, out of how much have you scored this? Now they are telling me out of 600, 700, 950. Though I can compare it now, but still it is a bit difficult for me. I'll have to check that if they all are taken on the same base, then which number would be the best, which number would be the worst, if I take the base as a same number, right? So now if I ask these people that, okay, do one thing, just keep the same base and tell me what have you scored on that particular base. They asked me, sir, which base? You tell us. So I gave them a number that okay, calculate it on a base of 100. Why 100? There is no specific reason for that. 100 because it is easier to calculate with 100. So the first person will do 550s out of 600. So out of 100, how much? 100 is 1/6 of 600. So that means 550 ka 1/6 out of 100. Similarly, 100 is 1/7 of 700. So 650 ka 1/7. Similarly, 950 ka 1 by 9.5 times is 100. So it is 800 upon 9.5. So now these people calculated these values and told me, now the first person will say, sir, I have scored 91.66%. The other person says, sir, I have scored 92.8%. Third person says, I have scored a certain percent. Now I can easily compare these scores even without knowing the maximum marks. On the basis of these scores, I can tell you that which person has scored the best, which person has scored the worst. And to represent these things, we use the symbol that is called percentage ka symbol. Percent actually means per 100. So when you start calculating something out of 100, that is called percent. So when I say 25%, a person says I have scored 25%. That means out of maximum marks, he has scored 25 per 100. But here I am taking an assumption that out of maximum marks, because unless I take that, 25% has got no meaning, as I told you before. So 25% of maximum marks, that means in every 100 he has scored 25. And in every 100, it does not mean that actually out of 100 he has scored this. If a person tells me that in a class 60% of the total students are boys, 60% of the total students are boys, so how many boys are there in the class? I cannot answer this. 60% means in every 100 there are 60, but it does not mean there are 100 students in the class and 60 are boys. So they will be telling you that how many students are there in the class. Accordingly, you can calculate that. So if they tell you that in the class, the total number of students is, let us say, 500, then how many boys are there? You can calculate that. That how many hundreds are there in 500? I'll divide it by 100. And in every 100, there would be 60 boys. So I would say 500 into 60 divided by 100. 300 would be the total number of boys in the class. This is what a percentage is, and this is why we divide by 100 in case of percentages, because when we divide by 100, what happens in that case? We actually take that base on 1. I mean, something was out of 100, I have taken that something out of 1 rather than taking on 100. This is what 60 by 100 does. So I'll take another example of this, that let us say I tell you that 40% of the students in a class like cricket, right? So if total number of students is, let us say, 240, then how many do not like cricket? Okay, now 40% of the students in a class, they like cricket. So 40% of students, and how many students are there? 240. Keep this in mind. Whatever is written after the of is called the base of that percentage. Base means on which this percentage has to be calculated. Basis on which this percentage has to be calculated. If I say 40% of the boys in the class like cricket, the number of boys will become the base. 40% of girls in the class, they like cricket, the number of girls would become the base. So whatever is written after of, that is called the base. So now I can say that if total number of students is 100, if total number of students is 100, then students who like cricket is equal to 40. Number of students who like cricket is 40. If total number of students is 1, the number of students who like cricket is 40 divided by 100. And if total number of students is 240, the number of students who like cricket is 240 into 40 divided by 100. 240 into 40 divided by 100. When you calculate this, this gives you 96. Now this 40 is actually the percentage value of the number of students who like cricket. This 40 by 100, which can also be written as 2 by 5, is the fractional value of this percentage. And this 96 is the actual value of this percentage. 40 is the percentage value, 40 by 100 is the fractional value, and 96 is the actual value. So what is a fractional value? Fractional value is the value which is taken on a base of 1. The way percentage is taken on a base of 100, on a base of 1, you can say it is a fractional value. On a base of 250, it is the actual value. Sorry, 240, it is the actual value. So if I ask you this, suppose you go into a class, you see that there are 10 boys and 10 girls. So I ask you how many boys are there in the class. You can give me three kind of answers. If you saw that there are 10 boys and 10 girls, so you can give me three kind of answers. One answer is that you can tell me that, okay, there are 10 boys in the class. That is one of the answers. One answer you can give me is 50% of the students in the class are boys. Yes, that is also correct. You can also say that half of the class is boys. Half of the class is boys. So when you say half of the class, you are assuming the class as 1. When you say 50% of the class, that means you are assuming the class as 100. ये 100 में से 50 boys हैं. When you say there are 10 boys, you are taking the class as 20 because you see there are 20 kids in the class. Here 20 is the actual base, 100 is the percentage, and 1 by 2 is the 1 by 2 is the fractional value, which is on a base of 1. So basically you can say how to convert a percentage into a fraction and how to convert a fraction into a percentage. What should be the way of doing it? Obviously percentage is on a base of 100, 1 by 2 is on a base of 1. So if you divide this 50 by 100, you get the fractional value. Similarly, to go back from fraction to percentage, when you multiply it by 100, 1 by 2 by 100, you get the percentage value, right? So there are two things that are needed, from fraction to percentage and from percentage to fraction. Fraction, ध्यान रखिए, it is on a base of 1. Percentage is on a base of 100. So when you go from 1 to 100, you multiply by 100. And when you go from 100 to 1, you actually divide by 100. This is how we convert fraction into percentage and percentage into fraction. And why is this needed? Why do we convert fraction to percentage and percentage to fraction? There is one simple reason of doing this, and we just discussed this on the previous sheet as well, that when I ask you 25% of 468, you all would be more comfortable in doing 1 by 4 of 468 because it will immediately give me the answer as 117 rather than doing 468 into 25 divided by 100. This is easier for you. ये आपके लिए ज़्यादा आसान. And why is it easier? Because you know 25% is 1 by 4. So these fractional values of the percentages are extremely important for us. And we must, I would say, cram these values at which percentage is equal to which fraction. For example, some of these you already know. You already know 1 by 2 is equal to 50%. You already know that 1 by 3 is 33.33%. You know that 1 by 4 is 25%. You know that 1 by 5 is 20%. Similarly, the other fractional percentage equivalents, 1 by 6 is 16.67, you can say. 1 by 7, which is 14.28%. 1 by 8, which is 12.5%. 1 by 9, which is 11.11%. Everyone knows 1 by 10, I'm skipping it. 1 by 11 is 9.09. 1 by 12 is 8.33. And there are many. I would suggest that anything up to 1 by 12 is mandatory. It is necessary, right? And I would suggest that you should do all fractional equivalents till 1 by 20. all fractional equivalents till 1 by 20, and it should be on your tips. The moment I say 1 by 17, 5.89 should come to your mind. The moment I say 1 by 19, 4.76 should come to your mind. And from both ways, it's not that only when I say 1 by 16, it should be 6.25. When I say 6.25, again 1 by 16 should come to your mind. This will help you in calculating a lot many percentages. Doing these values will definitely help you, because when you have to calculate a certain percentage, it will definitely help you in those cases, because when you calculate a certain percentage, if let us say you have to calculate something like 6.3, 6.4%, and you know 6.25 is 1 by 16, it will become easier for you. Till 1 by 12 it is mandatory, and after that it is optional. You might do, you might not do. But 1 by 8 जैसे 12.5 and not only 1 by 8, even multiples of 1 by 8 would be important for you. When I say 1 by 8 is 12.5, 3 by 8 is 37.5%, 5 by 8 is 62.5%, 7 by 8 is 87.5%. So even all these values are extremely important for you, so that you have these values on your tips. 1 by 6 is 16.66. So what is 5 by 6? It is 83.33%. 1 by 4 is 25. So what is 3 by 4? It is 75%. Similarly, 2 by 3 is 66.66%. 1 by 9 is 11.11. It shows 2 by 9 is 22.22. 3 by 9 is 33.33. 4 by 9 is 44.44. 1 by 9 is 11.11. 1 by 11 is 9.09. They have a relationship. In 1 by 9, you see all 11s. In 1 by 11, you see all 9s. So you should be extremely comfortable with all these fractional equivalents of these percentages. And see, one thing, it might be there in your mind, okay, if I don't know what is 3 by 8, so how much time does it take? I've just told you to convert a fraction into percentage, multiply it by 100, you will get 37.5%, right? This can be done, but you cannot do it all the times, because I'll give you an example. 14.28%. I told you 14.28% is 1 by 7. Suppose somewhere in a question 14.28% comes and you do not know what is it in fractions. What will you do? From percentage to fraction, you should divide it by 100. Then decimal is removed, you again divide by 100. Now if you cancel out with 4, so 4 3s are 12, 4 5s are 20, 4 7s are 28. And this is 357 divided by 2500. Does it look like 1 by 7 to you? You might have some superpowers. I mean, you just see this, and oh, this is 1 by 7. This is very close to 1 by 7. No, I do not think that anyone can actually say this is 1 by 7 immediately. And why does this happen? Did we do it wrong? Did whatever I say was wrong? That I mean, you can convert a percentage into fractions and fractions into percentage by doing this? No, that is not wrong. The problem is 14.28% is the approximate value of 1 by 7. It is not the exact value of 1 by 7. This was exact, so therefore we immediately got 37.5, but this is an approximate value. And for this approximate value, you have to memorize these values. Otherwise, you won't be able to use them in a particular question. And these values will not only help you to solve your calculations, these will also help you to eliminate the options some of the times. Suppose among the options I see a question says 14.28% kids in a class have scored less than 50 in mathematics, right? This statement itself tells me that if I can calculate 14.28% of the students in the class, the number of students must be a multiple of 7. Because if number of students is not a multiple of 7, obviously 14.28% would be in a fraction, and I cannot take students in a fraction. So this is how it is used. I'm telling you another use of these values now. Suppose I ask you this question, what is 37.5% of 648? What is 37.5% of 648? Suppose we know 37.5% is 3 by 8. So how much time does it take to do 3 by 8 into 648? So it is 81 into 3, 243 is the answer. The job becomes easy for us because we knew 37.5% is 3 by 8. But now just think of this question. What if I ask you, what is 64.8% of 375? Now we'll start thinking though, oh, we do not know anything about 64.8%. How much is it in fractions? So I'll have to do 375 into 64.8 divided by 100. Then I'll remove the decimal, I'll put another zero, so on and so forth. No, this all is not needed. So what is the important portion here? I'll tell you, 64.8% of 375 we have to calculate. Just think of this. If I can ask you what is A percent of B, how do you calculate this? B into A divided by 100. And if I ask you what is B percent of A, how would you calculate it? It will be A into B divided by 100. Do you see that in both the cases, the final outcome is nothing but A into B divided by 100? That means if this percentage symbol goes on the other side, right, it does not change your answer. So how can I use that here? See, if you know 37.5% is 3 by 8, so that means whenever you find 375 in that order, you can always use this 3 by 8. How can I use it here? 64.8% of 375 can also be written as 375% of 64.8, right? Or I can also write this as 37.5% of 648. I have multiplied this by 10. I have divided this by 10. It does not change my answer. Ultimately, A into B would remain the same. And can I say this is also 243? So the ease by which you could solve this, the same ease by that you can solve this as well. If this is in your mind, that 375 in that order can make my job easy. I'll take another example of this. If I ask you this question, what is 45.9% of 2222? 2222. So now if I know the fractions well, I know 2 by 9 is 22.22 and I see 2222 here. So I can write this as 2222% of 45.9. And if I divide this by 100 and if I multiply that by 100, the question would become 22.22% of 4590. That is nothing but 2 by 9 times of 4 by 90. 9 से divide करेंगे, 9 5s are 45, 9 1s are 9, and if you multiply this, this gives you the answer as 1020. This makes our job pretty easy. So this is what is the usage of converting percentages into fractions and fractions into percentages and using them while calculating the percentage values of the numbers. So I would suggest all of you to just memorize these values pretty well and try to do them till 1 by 20, but at least make it sure till 1 by 12 they should be completely on your tips, and a few multiples of them as well, as we discussed. 3 by 8, 5 by 8, 2 by 3, 3 by 4, 3 by 5, etc. Those also should be clear to you. Okay, everyone. So this is the first session that we had on percentages. Thank you very much, guys.